We are back. This is a new segment, one that I've been promising for a while, and it's called "How Do We Get Here." Uh, Today, I kind of want to go over this whole concept of exclusivity and the storyline behind it. A YouTuber that I reference quite often is VG Fight Schools, or Fight Schools. I always say Flight. He again, and I will heap this praise upon him until I don't see it worth heaping upon him. He's a very level-headed guy and seems to have a good business sense when it comes to the games industry and the inner workings of it and how things are done. He's much more logical and level-headed about things than a lot of other uh, pundits when it comes to the conversation of the video game industry and how it works in general. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that he is a teacher, I believe, one, and then two, he's actually in the process of trying to make his own game and is actively going through that. Now, I've never made a game that went for sale, but I did finish my college degree by working on a prototype for a game. And that was just a 3-man team, really 4, because our client, which is what they call the person who was from the art school that gave us the assignment, because she needed her game animated, her concept animated, and it was our job to do the character rigging, the animation, the HUD, which was very minimal. I could go on for hours explaining the game and the whole situation behind it, but that would be a whole video into and of itself, and I probably will one day. It was an experience, to say the least. There were great parts. There were terrible parts. There were parts where I actually almost got into a fight with one of my group mates. Like, game development, even on a micro scale, because I'm just trying to get an A, right? Some people are trying to feed their families. Is extremely difficult. It is not easy. And it's funny to me, knowing the little I know about how the game industry works and working on a game so I can get my degree and graduate and not have to take the class over again. And then you see these people online who speak on the games industry and how they believe these $1 trillion and $1 billion companies should be doing things, and they don't know what they're talking about at all. And not only do they not know what they're talking about, they can't even read the room. So today on How Do We Get Here, I'm not just giving my perspective. I'm giving what I saw myself as the reason why things are the way they are now. This might be a pretty long video, so if you might want to pause it, grab some popcorn, anything like that. And you know me, I may cuss once or twice. It is what it is. So, couple of notions that we need to address. There's this long-standing ideology that the reason why Xbox is in the situation they're in, where their popularity is on the downside, especially after the 360 era, there are people online and people in the know who will tell you, oh, it's TV, 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 TV. Here's a problem with that. As a person who worked in a GameStop, as a person who's worked at Best Buy, as a person who's worked at quite a few gaming stores, or been in quite a few gaming stores, because I know people who worked at them, that had nothing to do. Let me say this again. That had absolutely nothing to do with why the Xbox failed. The Xbox failed, and I'm particularly talking about the Xbox One, for 2 or 3 very particular reasons. And it's logic. It has nothing to do with TV, TV, TV. Because besides what people will tell you, most people who play video games, they didn't see that shit. Most people who play video games did not see Don Matrick sit on that stage and have Roger Goodell from the NFL talk about watching football games on your Xbox One for 45 minutes. Most people did not see that shit. The average customer, which is the vast majority of people who buy video games, you're talking about people who buy Madden, Call of Duty, FIFA every year, they didn't watch that shit. You know what they saw? When the Xbox One and the PS4 dropped, I think about a week or so apart, maybe a few days, they went in the store. And guess what they saw? $500 for this console, $400 for this console. And when they asked the store clerk, who a lot of times, believe it or not, people at GameStop don't know what the hell they're talking about either, people who work there. Well, what's the difference? Oh, this one comes with a camera. You know what the average consumer said? I don't want that camera. Because when you looked at the shelf that had all of the launch games for both of these platforms, the games were virtually the same. Outside of Killzone, which, when's the last time you saw a Killzone? Outside of Dead Rising 3 on Xbox and Rise, when's the last time you saw either one of those two games? I think Dead Rising got a sequel. Matter of fact, I know Dead Rising got a sequel and recently got a remake, but it's never been a console mover, right? At best, the original one on 360 was maybe a console mover, but that franchise had long lost its luster by that point. Outside of those 2 or 3 games, because what do you think? You think PlayStation dudes was buying PlayStation 4 for knack? Like, seriously. No, what happened was the average consumer went to the store, saw Call of Duty on Xbox, Call of Duty on PlayStation, Battlefield 4 on Xbox, Battlefield 4 on PlayStation, NBA 2K on Xbox, NBA 2K on PlayStation, Madden on Xbox, Madden on PlayStation, etc., etc. You can go down the line. All those third-party games. You know what the difference maker was for them? Give me $500 for this machine and a camera that you don't want, or give me $400 for this machine and you can use that extra $100 to buy one of these third-party games that's on both machines. It's the difference between spending $500 to $600 and spending $400 to $500 for a brand new console. That's what killed the Xbox brand. That's what put the Xbox brand in the position it is now. They thought they could do, or they thought they could get away with what Sony kind of got away with during the PS3 era, which is overcharging for a console in comparison to your competitors. And the problem is, and Phil Spencer quite frankly stated this, you overpriced your console. They won the market compared to your competitors in a generation where people were building largely digital libraries. So by the time you got to the PS5 and the Xbox Series, I already got a whole generation of games, anywhere from 50 to 100 Sun9 games from the PS4, Xbox One generation on my PlayStation. I'm not banning those games to go back to your platform, even though I used to mess with 360 back in the day. That's what happened. Like, I'm tired of people talking this TV shit. The TV shit may have pushed the nerds and the dorks who sat there for an hour like myself and watched the Xbox presentation, and then the very next day watched, or the next week or whenever it was, I think it was the next month, watched the PlayStation presentation. It may have affected our thought process on that, but most people, because we are a loud minority, right? We are the nerds who get on Twitter and fight about this shit. We are the nerds who sit on in front of their computers like I am now with a microphone in their hand and make videos about this shit. We are a loud minority. And this is no, I'm not being offensive. Again, I'm calling myself one. The VG Fight Schools, the King Davids, the Puerto Rocks. Shout out to him. We are a loud minority of nerds who talk about this shit. Most of the people who buy video games, they don't watch videos. They don't go to IGN. They go to the store and they pick up something based on the vibe or based on the habit of buying it. I buy Call of Duty every year. I'm buying Call of Duty. I buy Madden every year. I'm buying Madden. I play NBA 2K every year. I'm getting NBA 2K. My kids like Roblox. Give me some Robux points. My kids like Minecraft. Let me get their Minecraft on Xbox or PlayStation or Switch. Those are the majority of gamers. 70% of them, maybe more. I'm probably being very, very light with that number. It's probably somewhere between 80. Right? This percentage of people who sit online and talk about games and make just as many videos or comments talking about games as they do spend hours playing them or more, time than they do actually playing games, those are the fucking nerds who actually saw that video. Most consumers didn't see that shit. We gotta stop running with this narrative, oh, TV killed Xbox, because PlayStation sold TV shows and movies too. We gotta stop this shit. It's a lie. It's a bold-faced lie. That is not what killed the Xbox. What killed the Xbox was day one, you had essentially the same library of launch games outside of your little exclusives that nobody gave a shit about on both sides. Because there hasn't been a Killzone since that Killzone game. Nobody gave a shit about Killzone anymore. Nope. There was a Knack after that last Knack, but nobody gave a shit about Knack ever. Right? I'm pretty sure they gave God, what's the guy's name? The guy with the weird expressions. They gave him the grace of doing it because he designed the PS4 and the PS5. Nobody gave a shit about his game, and he knew that. Right? No one gives a fuck about Knack. So, excuse me. We got to stop running with this narrative that TV killed the Xbox. Respectfully, that's a lie. At the end of the day, I guarantee you they could have said TV a million times. And what would have killed the Xbox, what would have kept the Xbox in contention was being $400 day one and not forcing people to own the fucking Kinect. Because that's what hurt them. It cost me more to buy an Xbox and a copy of Madden or NBA 2K than it cost me to buy a PS4 with the same games. That's what killed them, not TV. Now that we're off their soapbox, we move to modern times. Because again, this channel is how do we get here? You have to understand, when PlayStation dudes, and shout out to VG Fight Schools, who kind of sat on a point that I said isn't really the issue, and no offense to him, but it's just not. But he did make this point, and I'm going to piggyback on that point. You can't afford to make games exclusive more. I know there's Xbox dudes who are asking Asha to do this. Fucking stop. Stop. I just explained to you why you lost what Phil Spencer most intelligently put the worst generation to lose. You can't afford for Playground Games to not put their games on PlayStation. If they can sell 5 million copies of how old was Forza Horizon 5? 5 years old, 4 years old when they put it on PS5? If they can sell 5 million copies of a 4 or 5 year old game to a fan base who essentially isn't getting anything tangible really from the company who manufactures the system they're playing on, but they'll buy your racing game at 5 million, probably 6 or 7 million at this point, and that thing's 5 or 4 years old. Why wouldn't you give it to them and make money? What you Xbox guys don't understand is the more money Microsoft can make off these studios, the longer they can justify keeping these studios open. The more money they can make off these studios, the more money they can spend filling Game Pass up with stuff like Blueprints or Expedition 33 or Lives of P. You get more cool shit like that because they have disposable income. It's kind of like how Sony was using Call of Duty and the money they were generating off of that to pay other companies to make games on PlayStation and not on Xbox. That's kind of the same concept, right? Except for Microsoft doesn't care if the game comes out on another platform because they know they're going to make money regardless. You guys got to get out of Xbox's way. Stop sending this lady these dumbass suggestions about going exclusive. Because one, she's probably not going to listen to you anyway. She's going to look at your messages, if she even bothers doing that. And then she's going to look at the money she's making off PlayStation dudes who are starving for games. Like I've seen a lot of people using the Eddie Murphy, I think it was Raw meme. God damn, that's a good ass cracker. If somebody feeds you a cracker and you ain't ate nothing, it's gonna be the best tasting cracker ever. That's essentially what's happening. Sony has maybe 7 or 8 studios left. 1 or 2 of them are making single player games. Everybody else is making some shitty multiplayer live live service game that no one's gonna care about, probably gonna die in a few weeks. They can't wait to get Gears or Forza or Fable, an offline single player RPG. They can't wait to get that shit. And God bless them. They need those games, right? They can't wait to get all that shit that the nerds. Let's be fair. Let's be completely fair. All the shit that the fucking nerds, like myself, were getting online talking about Starfield because it wasn't on PlayStation, and now the rest of the PlayStation, because I'm not gonna blame everybody on PlayStation, because again, everybody that's on PlayStation don't give a fuck about this shit like this. They're not online having conversations about it, not online talking about it. They just buy and play games. The regular fucking gamers who just go to the store and look for new experiences to play or buy the experiences they've been used to playing, Madden, FIFA, 2K, etc., etc. They saw Starfield and was like, holy shit, a new Bethesda game in space? I'm in. They ain't seen no reviews. They haven't gone through a fucking comment section and seen the back and forth between fucking nerds saying, oh, it's exclusive. Oh, it sucks because it's an Xbox game. They haven't seen any of this shit. They just want to play a new a Bethesda game. That's it. They don't care. This is why I tell you avoid the grift. Most of these motherfuckers are just nerds and ain't got shit else to talk about. Some of them are being level-headed. Some of them are being honest about it. Most of these motherfuckers are just nerds. It's on my system and it's not on yours, and you can't do nothing about it. Nah. Grown ass men, by the way. Grown ass men. But like, these are false narratives, folks. They really are. They're bullshit, false narratives. It's not realistic. And to insinuate that Microsoft can afford to take their games and put them only on Xbox is fucking stupid. First of all, they still need to publish them on PC. They still need their Steam money. And to not put them on PlayStation is like, why would you leave money on the table? Case in point, and I said this in my last video, and I'm probably going to tip off here. PlayStation, 90 million units sold, allegedly, because we're going to get into this eventually one day, but Sony lies about their fucking numbers. There's no way they've sold 90 million PlayStation 5s. No way. It's horseshit. But 90 million, quote unquote, PS5s, I think they sold 400,000 copies of MLB The Show. How is San Diego studio staying open? Because they're selling on Xbox and Switch, right? And they're probably eventually going to need to go to PC, right? This rumor that still hasn't been confirmed yet that Sony is going to ditch PC, that shit, and I said in the last video, I'll say it again, that will be seppuku. Your games aren't selling well enough. Your games aren't charting well enough for you to do that. Now, Wolverine is probably going to be a difference maker when it comes to that, right? But you're talking about a very big Marvel IP that's going to be coming out, I believe, 2 or 3 months shy of the next Avengers movie, which comes out this December or November. So that game is going to do well based on hype for the movie franchise and the fact that it's Wolverine. He's one of the biggest Marvel characters in the known universe. But this idea that Sony can afford to abandon PC is like, bro, they're closing down studios left and right. You still don't know what the hell's going on with Fair Games. Right? You're probably not going to get that Naughty Dog game. Well, you probably will now, because I don't think a new PS6 is coming out for another 2 or 3 years. Right? And if the hype, because God knows, you know, the nerds online sure do hate they unattractive female protagonists, you know, people of color being, you know, the main focus of a game. If the detractors for that new game that Naughty Dog's making has any traction whatsoever, that game has a very low ceiling. Intergalactic, I believe it's called. So something's gonna have to give, right? We gotta wake the fuck up. Okay? PlayStation dudes should not be cheering for Sony to be only on PlayStation, because you're going to lose more studios. You're going to lose more games that way. Insomniac is already locked in as a Marvel studio. They can't make anything else they want, because Sony pays way too much for that Marvel license for them to not be making Marvel games. And those things, I guarantee you, have to hit a certain quota or motherfuckers gonna start getting fired. So it's a double-edged sword. They're getting pressure from both ends. And Naughty Dog's next game has to hit. I don't know what course corrections they can make, but they got to make them, because if they don't, they're cooked. And you can feel however you want to feel about that statement. It's the fucking truth, right? Xbox, you Xbox dudes, look. Phil Spencer already told you. Most important generation to win, they lost it. He told you plainly. The one thing I give Phil Spencer credit for always, he shot it straight. He knew motherfuckers was going to come for his head after he said what he said, but he shot it straight every time he could. When he was allowed to shoot it straight, he shot it straight. He's like, look, we lost the worst generation to lose. We got to put games everywhere, because if we don't, motherfuckers going to go out of business. And Phil Spencer did not like firing developers. He was a developer himself. So, I don't know what to tell y'all. You want exclusives? Go get a fucking Switch. Like, they're doing so great right now, right? And that's sarcasm, by the way, if you check the news. But, dude, PlayStation and Microsoft ain't got it like that. And Nintendo soon enough is going to find out they don't either. Nintendo has the legacy to pull this bullshit for a little bit longer than everybody else. But you also have to remember, Nintendo's been around really 100 plus years, because they used to be a sex hotel and a playing card company, and they converted to video games in their late 70s, early 80s. History lesson there, but you get the point. They get away with this shit a little bit longer than Sony and Microsoft do. Microsoft's gonna be the first to be in. They the newest ones on the block and have less prestige. Sony slowly but surely is gonna have to do it. They gotta stop faking the funk on this shit. Like, if rumor B isn't true and they're not opening a PC launcher that they can sell their games from and make 100% of the profits without Steam, then they're being ran by idiots. Because if you thought they closed down a lot of studios in the last few years, oh boy, you got another thing coming. You talking about motherfuckers from Insomniac getting fired. You talking about motherfuckers from Guerrilla getting fired. A lot of people about to get fired. Right? A lot of people, like, if it's not a Marvel thing, like the Tokon game may do well enough, right? Because it's a Marvel game. But all the rest of it, the Wolverine game, Saros is doing okay in pre-orders right now, but shit, it's a sequel to a game that sold 5 million copies. Good luck with that. And I know I said I was in the video earlier, but I just had to get them parts off, man. Look, I appreciate y'all. Like, comment, subscribe. Let's have a conversation about this, because it's time to be realistic. Like, the tech industry in general is not healthy. This is why I do IT work, mainly because this shit is volatile, and I saw it coming. And it's here now. Motherfuckers can't keep a job. Motherfuckers can't even get a game out before they get fired. Some companies are getting one game out and then they're shutting down. This shit's rough, and a lot of y'all are speaking this nonsense about, oh yeah, limit your reachable audience as much as you can and just sell based on the fact that your game might be good enough to sell 20, 30 million copies without being on everywhere. Good luck with that shit. Good luck with that. This is the stupidest thing I ever heard in my life. If that game don't cost a couple $100,000 to make, how you gonna get away with that shit? The indie games can do that, and really they shouldn't be doing it, because they're at higher risk than this. Indie studios open and close all the time. But if the indie studios can't get, how you think figure a studio that's making a game for $200 or $300 million gonna get away with that? Like, you motherfuckers are not thinking. These games are not selling. Like, I'm worried for Sucker Punch. I'm not gonna lie to you. I ain't seen nobody talking about fucking Ghost of Yotei. This is one of the few games I platinum on PlayStation. I love that franchise. I still haven't bought it yet because I had no interest in buying it. I'm going to eventually buy it. I would like to buy it on PC, but if I have to get it on PlayStation, I got a PS5 Pro now. I'll buy it. But this idea that that game shouldn't come out on PC, I ain't even lie to you. I don't know why Days Gone ain't on Xbox by now. You're not going to do anything else with that franchise. Make the money. Like, if Sony's that stupid that they're listening to idiots who don't know shit about running a $1 billion company, go ahead and take your games off PC. Commit seppuku. Because last I checked, Marathon is even doing better on fucking PC than it is on PlayStation and Xbox. Dumb as hell. Anyway, man, I'm gonna end the video here because I go on another hour or so. But y'all holler at me in the comment section. Like, share, subscribe. Am I right? Am I wrong? You let me know. I'll holler at y'all later. Peace.